We create jobs and make entrepreneurial dreams come true. ACE, a nonprofit community lender, specializes in small business loans coupled with business advisory services. ACE has loaned more than $39 million, helped over 725 business owners fulfill their dreams, and ACE has helped its clients create or retain more than 6,200 jobs. These are the stories of those businesses we've helped reach success and claim their American dream.
Welcome to Ace's Best Stories. I'm your host, Eric Holtzgall. On Ace's Best Stories, we bring you the stories of what it takes to get a business off the ground, and in this case, a business and a product. Mm-hmm. We're talking today with Ceata Lash. She is the founder and inventor of PuffCuff.
Yes, that's right.
What is a PuffCuff?
PuffCuff is the only hair clamp designed specifically for curly hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Whitney that I work with, she has curly hair.
That's why I said I'm going to PuffCuff her before I leave here today.
She's always talking about having the right hairdresser, there's a bunch of things about that.
Right. Curly hair is its own beast, I guess you would say, but it's a beast that we love and have to embrace. And now there wasn't anything on the market to help us style our hair that wouldn't cause us to have pain or hair breakage. So that's where the PuffCuff came from.
Have you seen the YouTube video where the guy takes his girl's hair and sucks it up in the vacuum and then puts the thing? That's probably what I'd have to do, because it sounds like such a thing. So if you look at I was looking at the PuffCuff, and it comes in different sizes.
Yes.
And so talk to me more about the way that I guess the product works.
So I'm wearing the product right now. Yes. Of course, you know I'm going to come in here without it, exactly. Right? So the PuffCuff works differently than everything else on the market. Basically, with doing my research, and when I first had the idea of the product, I stopped chemically relaxing my hair.
Okay.
And I just are chemically relaxing and other chemically straightening it. So I invented the PuffCuff because I couldn't find anything that I could style my hair with in a way that I felt comfortable, because my hair I had straight hair since I was like 10 years old. Went from press and curl to relaxer to being now in my 30s, going back to hair I had never seen, really.
Right.
So the PuffCuff, you gather your hair first, you clamp it around, and the hair expands into it. Typically, everything else hair accessory-wise is made to bundle hair and cinches it down. So you're taking an elastic band or a clip and you're winding it around 57, 60, 30, whatever, how many times in order to get it in place. So then it's always causing tension and causing pain and causing stress. So the PuffCuff does not do that.
Got it.
So I first invented the biggest one, which is the original, and it's 5 inches. That's the one that I have in now. So when we came up with that size, a lot of people were like, I don't have enough hair for that. Or I have curly hair, but I have more length. Mm-hmm. My hair isn't as thick, blah, 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 different scenarios. We were like, okay, we got to come up with other sizes so everyone can utilize this. So we have 3 other sizes, and each one of them are like, okay, the original, we have an original, a junior, which is 2/3 the size of the original.
Yeah.
We have a mini, which is half the size of the original. And then we have a micro, which is half the size of the junior.
Okay.
Yeah.
So got everybody covered.
Got everybody covered. You would think, but I've been, we're getting requests. Can you make a larger one? Right. Can you make an even smaller one? But basically, I can use all the sizes. You've just got to be creative. Mm-hmm. And basically, the more sizes you have, the more styling options and the more versatility you have.
Got it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm always surprised when someone comes in. I've talked to hundreds of people who've created products or that I would imagine were on the marketplace somewhere. So when you talk about this, the fact that there wasn't anything out there, how did you know what to come up with that would work? How did you come up with an alternative? Well,
it was based on a clip that my grandmother and my mother used to use. Okay. And I've always seen this clip in the drawer. So since I was little, so this clip had to be, 30, 40 years old.
Right.
But it was, from what I understand, there was no markings or anything on it, but it was a clip about this big and kind of worked on the same concept. It was round and it had a hinge in the middle, but the teeth went all the way through. So that meant it was basically designed for straight hair because it was trying to penetrate. Yeah. The teeth would penetrate the hair. So I figured if I could find something like that, but not with the teeth all the way through, but on a much larger scale, then it technically should work.
Yeah.
So I searched for about, I know I searched for a good 3 to 5 years. No, I'll say 3 years.
Yeah.
Before I could, and I couldn't find anything. And I searched overseas, online, Alibaba, everything. The internet wasn't what it is now, but could not find anything. So then I was like, let me see if I can kind of sketch this out and see if there's an idea there. And I did, and I sketched it out. Just a regular pencil drawing. I'm a graphic designer. Everyone's like, you're an artist, you can draw. No, I can sketch, but I can't draw. So I came up with the concept and basically put it on the shelf for a while. Was like, you know what, I think this will work, but somebody will come up with it. And at least 5 years into my transition process, no one was coming up with it.
Yeah.
I'd go to Walmart, go to Walgreens, go down the hair accessory. I know, right. I can't find it, but then at the same time, really didn't want to find it because I was like, you know what, this is my idea. I don't want anybody. I didn't want somebody to beat me to the punch, but I figured all of these people with all this curly hair, there's got to be something. Yeah. But there wasn't anything.
Huh. So why though why did you delay in deciding to do it yourself?
Because you easily talk yourself out of it. No, I can't do this. This is bigger than me. I wouldn't know where to start. That type of stuff. Yeah. And you just never think especially when you don't come from a background or you don't have a family of people who invent or do things or come up with concepts and actually bring them to market. That's not in everybody's background. Yeah. So it just seemed very impossible to do. Yeah. But what happened was I ended up being able to take care of my 99-year-old grandmother. She was independent living, always on her own, drove till literally she decided she couldn't drive anymore, and just totally lived independently in Indianapolis. I was in Chicagoland area at the time, and my father's an only child. So it came down to she got diagnosed with congestive heart failure. And then the doctors were like, no, she cannot live by herself anymore. And she knew that, time was coming. You're 99, Right. The mind was great, but the body didn't all, things aren't supposed to function for 99 plus years, right? So it was like, okay, my father and my grandmother and I all agreed that it would be best that she come and live with my husband and I in Illinois. So with that, I was blessed to be. I was always close with my grandmother, but it was always she lived in a different state. Yeah, right. It was 2 weeks in the summer until I got to be a teenager, and it wasn't cool to go spend time with your grandmother anymore. Then it was just, Christmas and holidays and stuff like that. So anyway, blessed with the fact that she was able to come live with us in my home, and we were able to grow closer and just discover other things about each other that we wouldn't have had the time to really discover. So saying that, we also, which is this is one of those. I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in Christ, and it's one of those things where He always says He won't give you more than you can bear, but He didn't ask me before. Before there was no conversation. Right, there was no conversation. I should also say that before my grandmother had to come stay with us, we were on the road to adoption. So at that same time, when we went to go move my grandmother's stuff back to our house, my husband and I were looking at each other, and through totally exhausted eyes, like, we cannot go through this adoption process. When we get back, we are going to take our names off the list. Let's handle grandma, and then we'll go back on the list when we get back. Literally, I was at Kohl's shopping for my grandmother's bedding when that Monday, after we got back from the weekend of transferring my grandmother's stuff, I get a call from my adoption counselor from her cell phone, and she's at home. I'm like, we got picked. Sure enough, birth mother picked you. Wow. Birth mother picked us on Monday. We met her on Tuesday. We met the baby on Wednesday. We were to bring the baby home on Friday. My grandmother came to stay with us on that next Monday.
Wow. Well, that's the perfect time to start a business.
Right. Perfect time, right?
You know, you only checked a couple boxes.
Right. Like
The only thing you didn't do is move.
Right.
You could have done that too.
So with all of that, having my brand new son, and then also being blessed that he's there with my grandmother, who technically might not have never met him before,
Right, yeah.
but that was just being in that moment and just being able to survive through that moment and have great conversations with my grandmother, and realizing that she was at a point in her life where she was totally at peace with what she had done and didn't feel like there was something that I missed. There's something I didn't do. And me realizing that, and then also discovering that we have the same, our favorite scripture is the same, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. So it was like, it dawned on me, Lord, I've got this idea. If you bless me with 99, which I don't really want to be blessed with 99 years, I want to be in the same peace and place that my grandmother is, that she knew she did everything that she was supposed to do with the gifts and talents that you gave her.
Yeah.
So with that, I decided to do it, but I did put it on hold for a little bit longer. My grandmother ended up passing away. She came to live with us in October. She passed away in February. Right after that February, I decided to make this happen. My husband and I were just like, you know what? Let's see what we can do to make this happen. At least we're going to try.
Yeah.
So we're not going to.
Not looking back with regret.
No.
Yeah. And so from there, were you, and I've read visual design or whatever, were you doing like that? Was that the work you were doing?
Yeah, I'm a graphic designer by, I guess, trade, as they say, whatever.
Yeah.
I have a degree in Bachelor's of Fine Arts from Northern Illinois University.
Okay.
And I met my previous boss there. We were both graduates of the same university. I worked with her at a junior college. They don't like to call it junior college, I'm sorry, community college, whatever, in Illinois. And realizing then, wow, I've got access to a great source for entrepreneurs, not really realizing it, but I would be assigned with, I worked in the marketing department, so I would be assigned with designing a lot of the brochures and stuff for continuing education.
Yeah.
So it was like, whoa, you know what, this got put in front of me. This is, you know, a lot of these sources that I'm looking for to help me build this business are right here. So between that and the SBDC, that had a location at that campus, I was able to network and basically peruse the catalog of all the adjunct professors that worked by night, that are professionals by day.
Yeah, right.
That was like, okay, I'm just going to harass all of them until somebody sits down with me and says, you know, that I could take my drawing to and say, this is what I've got. Tell me what to do with it.
Yeah.
So basically, I was able to network with someone in the CNC engineering department.
Okay.
He turned me on to a CAD engineer, which was, I still work with him to this day. My CAD engineer turned me on to my manufacturer, and basically it went from there.
So
and then the
your whole-
SBDC at the college helped me build my business plan, and they actually were the first ones to introduce me to, I don't know if you know of Axion. Have you heard of Axion?
Yeah.
They were the ones who actually gave us our starter or seed money.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. And so you just use the networks of where you were to kind of get that thing started.
Exactly.
Well, very cool. Well, we're going to go to a commercial break, and when we get back, I want to unpack that a little bit.
Okay.
You know, so like the manufacturing process, it's not about building the product, it's then about getting it on and off the shelf. There's lots of steps to that. And so some of the things that you've learned along that journey.
Right.
Yeah. So we're talking today with Ceata Lash. She is the founder and inventor of PuffCuff. You're listening to Ace's Best Stories. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. We'll be back in just a minute.
If it wasn't for ACE, my business may have closed in 1 year.
If it wasn't for ACE, my business wouldn't be expanded as much as it's expanding right now. They were there for me at the time of my need.
If it wasn't for ACE, we would not be here today.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for ACE, I would very much still be cooking at an hourly rate, and I would have never impacted hundreds of lives and an entire community.
I still remember going to different kind of banks, big banks, and with papers, and these people send me back because I don't have, I had experience in the restaurant business, but I don't have, everything else this bank needed. And I believe in me.
I did the research in Adult Day. I had experienced it personally because my grandfather had Alzheimer's. So I wanted to do the business myself, get into it because I knew I could make a difference.
Initially, when we started, there was only one person, which would be me. And then the company have grown from 1% to 8, and we provide quality assurance, quality control testing for FDA-regulated companies.
I think Grace not only completely understands what it's like to start off in an office connected to your laundry room or wherever she was, but she also understands the growth process, and I think that she does an excellent job of making sure that everybody who works with ACE has an understanding of the kind of struggles and celebrations that you can have.
ACE has helped us with putting our business idea into the market, working with us with the business actually working, actually showing us, guiding me personally how to solve some of my marketing issue problems or with the business planning.
You don't meet many lenders that are invested in your success. And, from their classes or presentations, seminars, they really do have a vested interest in your success.
The best advice I can do to small business owners is follow your dreams. Always follow your dreams, follow your heart.
Have a plan. Just because you have a passion for it doesn't mean that you can start a good business.
Get ready for the ride of your life, and definitely make sure that you look out for fantastic resources like ACE.
ACE is a way to go.
You're just the best. I really are.
And we're back. You're listening to Ace's Best Stories. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw, talking today with Ceata Lash. She is the founder and inventor of PuffCuff, which is a product she is wearing.
Yes, yes. In my hair.
In your hair, yes.
Yes.
And so we were talking about, before the break, you talked about being kind of getting some serendipity, finding some people who could help you move it along the path. Mm-hmm. But, serendipity is good, but what are some of the things you learned? Like where were, if you could go back and tell yourself, I'm going to run into this roadblock, or I need to know about the manufacturing this way, or what would you do maybe differently, or tell somebody else if they said they wanted to create a similar product?
I take every moment as a learning experience. I don't take any of it negatively because I'm still here. Otherwise, all those peaks and valleys where they were meant for something. Yeah. So I really haven't, I would say, the manufacturing process has went smooth. I've learned things now for instance, I had to build 4 tools, which are basically the molds. Okay. I didn't know. I was like, what's a tool? Okay, right. Yeah. A wrench? No, a tool is the mold that basically each piece is formed in. Yes. So each mold or tool is about $20,000. Wow. So if you make a mistake in that tool, right. It's a big mistake. It's a big mistake. And also your tools are like your babies. Like this, You don't want to lose it. You want to know where it's at all times. You don't want anybody to damage it. It's everything rides on these tools.
Yeah, and those tools are the manufacturer has to have them to then create the product.
Exactly.
Okay.
So each time you make one, like I said, it's between 20. At high end, it could be even more than that. But we got ours for about $20,000. Well, the tool itself, if you can imagine this size, for this piece is about this big. Well, we also, our micro PuffCuff is about this big.
Right.
Well, it's still in a tool that's this big. And it's like, wait a second, shouldn't there be multiple cavities in this?
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of drama when these tools got made. In terms of the drama, people went out of business during the process. They were holding the tools hostage, blah, 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 blah.
I've heard all
right,
of those
that
stories.
right,
Yeah,
craziness. So I finally was able to get the tool made and the tool ready for manufacturing, but it's a single cavity tool. Well, when we go to make the smaller size, we can't sell one each package.
Right.
We have to sell 5 each package. Well, every time that they press that tool, I'm paying the same amount of money as I'm making one of either, of the larger or the smaller size. So things like that, I would have never known.
Yeah. Could you have made one that had multiple in it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you could.
It should have been.
Okay.
And it's one of those things, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah, right.
But technically, my manufacturer
Should
he know?
have told you that. Yeah. Right.
The tool man. Somebody should have said, "This little girl don't know what she's doing. Let's help her out."
Right.
But you know what? It didn't break me. You know what? I've learned my lesson. If we have to make new tools, which we probably will, you learn better, you do better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my manufacturer has been a blessing to us because we still owe him money,
right.
And he's still making stuff for us. And like I said, he's been there from the beginning. So
how did you get that? Was it because he had the relationship with, I think, the CAD guy or something? Is that why he took it? Because that's what I hear.
He took a chance.
He took a chance.
Yeah, because
manufacturers.
Right.
Yeah.
At the same time, there were so many people who just never called us back.
Yeah.
He was one that actually
right.
answered the phone and was like, "Yeah, I'll work with you." And he pretty much all the people that we work with are entrepreneurs, small businesses. Also, we're just a network of all small businesses that support each other.
Yeah, there's such a focus. Shark Tank and others. They have some product and things, but there's a lot of focus on technology companies, and a technology company has no idea what it takes to get a product created.
Yeah, they get all the financing too.
I know. You got to get it on the shelf, and then you got to get it off the shelf. And how are you handling distribution? What's the way that
We do it ourselves.
Do it yourselves.
That was one of the learning processes too. We did hire a fulfillment company. Had them for about a year. One of the big lessons I had to learn was I'm not a micromanager because I don't like to be micromanaged.
Yeah, right.
But in this process, you really do have to keep check on people.
Yeah.
Because
you can't trust them.
No, I was one of those. It's like, well, if you tell me that's what you're going to do, that's what I expect you to do, and I expect you to have my benefit. Look out for my benefit if I'm giving you my business. Well, it doesn't always work out.
Well, then you just told me I probably shouldn't be in manufacturing. I would do the same thing.
Right.
I gave it to you. I don't understand where you are.
You're submitting those invoices to me.
Right.
So I'm assuming
you're doing your work.
But it came down to some things weren't going right, and I discovered some things that probably I could have saved a whole lot of money on, but I wasn't paying attention. So now I know, I got to pay attention. But also, we ended up bringing our fulfillment in-house. Myself and my husband and my 3 children, we fulfill everything now. But we've saved a ton of money, and we've got paper cuts, but we're not.
Right.
We're still alive, right? We're still doing it, and then and like I said, if that situation hadn't happened, I wouldn't have discovered how much money I was losing through that whole process. But to say that, we sell through Amazon. Amazon was was our first distribution channel because no one knew about the PuffCuff.
Right.
No one knew what the hair clamp was supposed to really do. So we were like, okay, if they're willing to trust Amazon, then maybe we'll piggyback off of Amazon's loyal customers.
Right.
So we built our reputation through Amazon, and pretty much all of our products have between 3.5 and 4 stars.
Okay.
We did have a very eye-opening situation when we first started selling. I didn't include instructions with the PuffCuff because I was so close to the product. I thought it was intuitive, but it's not. We learned that the hard way. And with social media and everyone basically lives their life on a product review. We've had a couple people blast us, because they were trying to use it like a banana clip. They would take it and try to squeeze their hair into it, where you have to gather your hair first, clamp it around, and let your hair expand. So I felt some kind of way like, okay, I've got to give instructions on how to use a hair clamp. Right. I don't want to insult you, but at the same time, there were so many people who just were not using it correctly and was like, this is a piece of, and just throwing it to the side. And then after we started, what we did was we also discovered people don't read. Yeah. So no matter how many, the instructions and paragraphs on how you do it and what, that people were not reading. So we were like, okay, video. So we just started flooding. We
just renovated a house, and we were putting in the pocket door this past weekend, and I got stuck in the bathroom for like 3 hours. And my wife on the other side is like, I'm going to go watch some YouTube videos. I'll be back. I'm like, awesome. I'm stuck. But yeah, you're right. Still, that's the way you learn it. Right.
That's the way you learn it. So then it was like, okay, we're going to flood all of our social media channels with videos. And I didn't want to be the face at first, but then it was like, okay, I'm the one who knows, it's my product. Let me just start demoing. So I would sit on Sunday morning before church and do these little demos when my makeup was on. Do these little demos, and they just started picking up, on different social channels. And then actually, which was great and very humbling for me, is a lot of our fans would come back to our Facebook page and say, you know what? I thought it didn't work either, but then I realized it was me. I realized I wasn't following the directions. I was trying to use it like everything else. But I don't blame them because that's all that they had. Right. They only had hair accessories that were meant for straight hair. So all we've been doing, us with curly hair, is either manipulating them to work for us or just, bearing through what the accessories that are there. Yeah. But, it's like, okay, I had to realize I've got to educate my consumer that this is how you do it.
Well, and it's such a delicate balance because, back in the day, you got the really thick manual that told you everything in the world about it. And then we were taught by certain brands, don't send them anything. Right. Like, give them the product and they got to figure it out. And there's that delicate, and taking user feedback and figuring it out. I mean, that's the only way what you have to do to solve it.
And then, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The other thing is Amazon has its own set of rules. So you can't include marketing material in any of your packaging. And at that time, we didn't have retail packaging. It was a little poly bag, and especially if you were using Amazon's fulfillment. If you do your fulfillment yourself, you can get away a little bit. You get away with a couple things. But there were some parameters. We were like, well, if you can't include marketing material, how am I going to give somebody directions? Right. Well, let's fill out the Amazon page with all the directions. Well, then people don't read. Wow. So, and Amazon doesn't let you put up videos.
Oh, wow.
So,
some challenges.
Yes, some challenges.
So you've created multiple versions, and you've learned that you need to give people instructions. Do you have other ideas? Is there some other ideas percolating in your head?
Oh, of course. Of course. So basically, we've got ideas for other PuffCuffs. I'm not going to say what they are. Okay. But they will be more geared towards people that don't have as much texture. Okay. They might have curl, but not as tight of a curl. Right. Because what happens is the teeth, since PuffCuff is not cinching and putting pressure.
Which means you have less headaches.
Yes, less headaches, less hair breakage, hair damage, all of that. Since it's not cinching, people who either have curls but have silky curls, it'll slide right out. So we're kind of thinking either smaller ones for them because they still suffer from the same thing if they're using that rubber band. Yeah. But like I said, the PuffCuff just grafts the hair, but we're trying to come up with a product to where it won't slide out for those who have silkier or thinner hair.
Yeah, I mean, what's awesome about your story is, and I have written about this a couple times, about how success is really nothing new. Like it's taking something and making it better, right? Like something that doesn't work for you, that doesn't seem to be fully thought through, and doing just a simple change to it, and And then it's so easily adopted because people are like, well, it should have been this way the whole time. So,
well, I mean, the thing is with the PuffCuff, it's people. I'm trying to get people to realize that the more sizes and the more, like I said, the more sizes you have and the more different ones do different things.
Right.
You have to think outside of the box. And a lot of what I love is our fans will come up with different hairstyles I hadn't even thought about. Yeah. And then I'll, demo those for people on those little demo videos that I do. But well,
that's got to be satisfying for you that you have this product in the wild and somebody else does something with it.
It's great. Yeah. It's great. And then now, because we used to have to spend so much time on social media trying to defend the product because it was so new. It was new and abnormal to the user because they were programmed to think a different way. But now the social proof is there. So now we've got a lot of fans standing up and saying, you know what? If you just do this, if you go through the steps, if you watch the video, right? I don't have
the
to.
Advocates.
Right, they're the advocates. So it's fabulous now.
Well, very nice. Well, very nice. Well, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so
much for joining me. I love the story. It's
a
really good story, and common that people wait a while. They'll come up with something, and then it takes a while to get it out there. But then you're glad you did, right?
Yeah, we're in year 4, so we're still here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us for Ace's Best Stories. We've been talking today with Ceata Lash. She is the founder and inventor of PuffCuff, which sounds like a really good holiday gift.
It is, yes, and we have so many holiday sales going on. So follow us at the PuffCuff.
At the PuffCuff.
On social, and the website is www.thepuffcuff.com.
All right, and we'll put all of that in the show notes and links to everything so you can get to that. Until next time, we'll see you on the Ace's Best Story for another story about a small business owner or entrepreneur or inventor.
Yes. 2 patents.
Yes. Creating their own way. So thanks so much for joining us.